Conan and Ran received an invitation from Sonoko to visit her family's mountain villa in Gunma Prefecture to admire the autumn foliage and reunite with Sonoko's sister Ayako and some of her old friends. Initially, they faced some challenges finding the place due to Ran's poor sense of direction. However, they eventually reached a bridge where they encountered a mysterious figure wrapped in bandages and cloaked in darkness. As they approached, the figure turned and hurried away, leaving them unsettled by the brief eye contact they made. Upon arriving at the villa, they were greeted by Sonoko herself, who expressed disappointment that her plans for flirting would be hindered by Conan's presence. Ran inquired about the strange man, but Sonoko dismissed him as possibly just a local looking to play pranks. Later, as Ran searched for her room, she inadvertently stumbled upon the male residents of the house, catching glimpses of them in various states of undress, much to Conan's embarrassment. Once everyone was assembled in the dining room, Sonoko introduced them as members of their university's film club, each with their respective roles. Among them were Oda, the charismatic lead actor, Sumiya, the tall cameraman and special effects expert, Takahashi, the handyman, Ayako, the gentle makeup and costume artist, and Chikako, the talented scriptwriter who had found success professionally. However, tensions arose when Chikako became upset upon hearing the name Atsuko mentioned, prompting her to storm off for a walk to cool down. As the rain began to fall, Chikako failed to return, causing concern among the group. Sonoko and Ran discussed Oda's charm, with Sonoko clearly enamored by him. However, their conversation was interrupted when Oda flirted with Ran, inciting jealousy in both Sonoko and Conan. Ran ventured out for a walk, followed by Conan and Sonoko, but a sudden thunderstorm frightened Ran, causing her to flee back to the villa. During her return, Ran was ambushed by the mysterious, bandaged man wielding an axe. Terrified, Ran struggled to defend herself until Conan and Sonoko intervened, causing the assailant to flee. Upon their return to the mansion, they recounted the attack to the others, but their story was met with skepticism. However, Takahashi corroborated their account, mentioning seeing a man in a black cape. To make matters worse, they discovered that the phones were dead, and the bridge leading away from the villa had been severed, leaving them stranded. Takahashi is on the verge of panic, and the rest of the group is feeling uneasy, but the pragmatic Chikako scolds them harshly for succumbing to the demands of this bandaged man and insists they wait it out. However, when she discovers a mysterious letter under her doorstep, she becomes terrified and opts out of joining the group for dinner. Before dinner, Ayako reveals that the group disbanded following the tragic death of their friend Atsuko, who had taken her own life in their clubroom. She pleads with Conan not to mention it, as she organized the reunion to bring everyone back together. Once Takahashi finishes repairing the rooftop, he prepares to join the others for a sumptuous dinner prepared by Ayako and Ran. Suddenly, he becomes terrified and claims to have seen someone outside the window. It turns out to be the bandaged man, who has abducted Chikako and is leading her into the woods. Conan immediately grabbed a flashlight and was followed by Oda, Sumiya, and Takahashi. Running deep into the woods, they stumbled upon a horrifying scene. Chikako's body had been dismembered into several pieces. Legs, arms, and the head were scattered all over the forest. Sumiya covers Chikako's body with his jacket, and the group returns to the villa. Ayako blames herself for the tragedy, feeling responsible for organizing the gathering, but Sumiya reassures her that the blame lies solely with the bandaged man. Everyone is deeply shaken, and they decide it's best to retire for the night after thoroughly checking all windows and doors for safety. They plan to seek help in the nearest village come morning. Conan, Sonoko, and Ran discover Chikako's slippers near the back door of the house, leading Conan to suspect she left willingly to meet someone in secret. As Ran and Conan share a room, Ran expresses her fear of being targeted and asks if they can share a bed. Conan tries to focus on the current situation, but he's distracted by Ran's proximity to him. The bandaged man strikes again, attempting to harm Ran while she sleeps. Since Ran is a heavy sleeper, Conan pushes her out of harm's way and uses his bow tie to amplify his voice, shouting for her to wake up. Startled, Ran freezes as Conan tries to tackle the assailant, but the man escapes through the window, leaving Conan to wonder why Ran is being targeted and why there are no signs of mud or water if the intruder came from outside. The group decides to stick together for the night to thwart the sinister man in bandages. Conan notices Ayako wearing a choker that belonged to the late Chikako. Ayako claims she found it recently, but Conan recalls seeing her wear it when Chikako was abducted, raising suspicions that the bandaged man is someone within their midst. They gather in the dining room, where Oda once again tries to flirt with Ran, much to Conan's annoyance. He recounts his attempt to apprehend the culprit, describing the man's thin build, suggesting he could wrap his arms around his waist. Conan realizes Sumiya accidentally left his camera on, capturing footage of the window incident and Chikako's abduction. Reviewing the footage, he notices Chikako wearing her choker when she was taken, raising doubts about the speed of her abduction. None of the men inside could have moved her that quickly. Ayako, the last person to see Chikako alive, recalls seeing her distressed while holding a letter, confirming Conan's suspicions of a secret meeting. However, the motive behind targeting Ran remains unclear. Conan questions Ran about anything unusual she observed in the men's rooms. The lights suddenly go out due to the thunderstorm. While fetching candles with Ayako and Ran is attacked again but manages to retaliate, breaking the attacker's axe. Upon the lights returning, Conan notices the broken window was likely manipulated from the inside to frame an external intrusion. Additionally, he spots peculiar signs on the veranda, revealing the identity of the bandaged man. As Ran and Sonoko converse, Conan administers a tranquilizer intended for Ran, but it inadvertently affects Sonoko instead. Assuming Sonoko's persona, Conan unravels the mystery of the murder and attempted murder. Conan asserts that the killer is an insider, citing the lack of mud or water in Ran and his room, inconsistent with a break-in during a rainy night. The culprit likely traversed from Chikako's room to the balcony, silently entered through a window with a cut near the lock, known only to insiders, attacked Ran, returned to Chikako's room when she screamed, and changed clothes before rejoining the group. Sonoko elaborates on the deception surrounding Chikako's disappearance, revealing it to be a carefully orchestrated ruse involving props and the severed head of the deceased Chikako. She explains that wires were rigged above the window, allowing a puppet to simulate the appearance of a kidnapper sliding across the window when the wires were cut. Sonoko points out that only someone with Takahashi's background as a former stagehand would possess the necessary skills to execute such a plan. Takahashi argues that he was with the group the entire time and couldn't have transported Chikako's body. Sonoko counters, suggesting that while he couldn't have moved the entire body, he could have managed to carry her head. She notes that Takahashi's supposed obesity was a disguise achieved through padding and baggy clothing, which he discarded before committing the murder. Takahashi then concealed Chikako's head under his clothing, leaving it next to her mutilated torso to create the illusion of a crime scene. Sonoko concludes that Takahashi targeted Ran because she had seen him without his padding, thus threatening to expose his true appearance. To preserve his plan, Takahashi attacked Ran before she could reveal what she had seen. Furthermore, he sabotaged communication lines and the bridge ropes to isolate the group, and orchestrated Chikako's demise by luring her with a letter mentioning their deceased friend Atsuko. Takahashi came clean, admitting his culpability, driven by his love for Atsuko. He recounted how Atsuko, once full of joy and enthusiasm, plummeted into despair when Chikako's script, which Atsuko had shared with him as her prized creation, gained widespread acclaim. Suspicious of the sudden turn of events, Takahashi watched the movie adaptation of Chikako's script and realized it was Atsuko's work, stolen and passed off as Chikako's own, leading to her fame and accolades. The day before Chikako was to receive a prestigious award for the script, Atsuko confided in Takahashi, tearfully revealing the truth. She lamented that nobody would believe her if she tried to expose Chikako as the true author. The next day, Atsuko tragically took her own life in the clubroom, devastated by the betrayal and injustice. Takahashi, consumed by grief and fury over Chikako's role in Atsuko's demise, sought retribution. He penned a threatening letter to Chikako, demanding she admit the truth, and when she arrived, he ended her life, driven by a desire to avenge the girl he loved. Takahashi angrily rips off his baggy sweater and shirt, discarding his bandaged man disguise along with a knife, which he brandishes towards his own neck. He declares his intention to join Atsuko in death, portraying himself as a valiant messenger of justice avenging her. Sonoko sharply admonishes him, calling out his hypocrisy for pretending to be brave when he cowardly attacked Ran to cover his tracks. Overwhelmed with remorse, Takahashi collapses to the ground, haunted by the weight of his actions, as the morning sun signals the end of the chilling night. Meanwhile, Conan reflects that the true culprit, the malevolent force of revenge, still lurks unpunished. Do you want us to make more videos like this? Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed our video, please like and share to support us. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next videos.